Hi folks, with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the depiction by the globalist, leftist propaganda, everyone's oppressed, social power, brown victims, and so on and so forth, to look at their description and depiction and presentation of why and how migrants, whether it's illegals or refugees or people overstaying visas, doesn't matter. Whenever brown people, black people come to a white country, or what was once a white country, so they rely on firstly a lot of deceptions and a lot of misrepresentations to get their point across. Their beginning point is, and their overarching narrative is, whitey, bad, evil, Nazi, fucking Hitler, brown people, oppressed victims, and that they don't have to do anything. Whitey must do all the adjusting, and these people need to know. If there's any problem at all, the tiniest issue with integration or non-integration, it's whitey. Whitey's fault. Those fucking damn Nazis, it's their fault. Let's have a look at the depiction, though. Now, I know quite a few sort of migrants or people who came from refugee camps many years ago. They're in their 60s now, and they arrived in Australia. They only wanted to go to an English-speaking country, so it's US, Canada, Australia. Those were their options. They're in the refugee camp, and so they know they're going to an English-speaking country. The parents know it, the kids know it, this sort of stuff. And yet even though there's free English language classes every day, there's multiple classes per day. They could spend all day learning English if they wanted to. There are English movies, there are, being shown in it. So they've got huge opportunities to learn English, even if it's only sort of conversational or enough to get by, but they have huge opportunities there. Books are available in English, it's laid on. And yet, they make no effort to learn even one word of English, not even a word. Now, they'll go and watch the English movies, but only when it's translated into their language. So they arrive in Australia and they can't speak a word of English. Doesn't make it easy. They go straight to a neighborhood with other people that speak their language, and there's like an informal underground, connection groups that put all these people in touch to make sure they're near to each other and together and all this sort of thing. So they've got, again, very little incentive to learn English. They make sure the kids only play with other kids that speak. And so the kids start school at 5 years old without being able to speak a word of English. They send the children to school in the national costume of their homeland. So these kids can't speak a word of English, and they arrive looking very, very different from what any other kid does. And yet now, 50 odd years later, they look back and say, well, no, it wasn't the fact I couldn't speak English. It wasn't the fact that I was wearing very strange and different clothes, eating different food. It wasn't anything of that. That the problem was those fucking damn Nazi racists, those white people. They're the problem. Well, wait, stop. Shouldn't you have made an effort to learn English? Do you think you're going to an English-speaking country where they speak English? Don't you think you should no, why should I? And the mere fact you're saying that now, what, you're trying to say it's my fault? It's not. It's those white damn Nazis. It's their fault. They did it. Wow, that's a really helpful attitude. Now, I don't think it's changed much over the years, if at all. So in a piece that I just came across, and there's a number of pieces around, there's no shortage of raw material here to check out. You can go online and see these stories about, Abdul or Krishna or whoever the fuck it is from whatever third world country. And they talk about how, and this is how the article spins it, that the problem is white people. White people are the problem. These people who come to Australia, they don't have to integrate with the white people. The white people have to integrate with them. And if the white people don't, they're fucking Nazis, swastika-waving Nazis. And it's as simple as that. We don't need to go any further. We've laid out the moral case here. Or so the article argues, articles plural. Now, so they talk about a guy who comes from, or people who come from some rural part of China, I think it was, and they don't say whether they're refugees, although you can assume so, but maybe not. So anyway, the parents are illiterate peasants. The children arrive there; they're illiterate. They go straight to an area. It's the same same story. They go straight to an area where there are people that speak their language. They only hang around with those. But so again, the kids arrive at school, can't speak a word of English. They dress very differently. And these people are sending back to their homeland, send us the clothes, send us the costumes of our peasant village. Where, we want to still dress and look and sound and be and eat exactly like we were in the peasant village. Why the fuck did you come to the West then? And why? I mean, if you're so determined to hang on to every tiny scrap and morsel of your life back there, why did you come? Anyway, so the kids again at school can't speak a word of English. The parents refuse to learn English. If you read between the lines here, so the kid has to learn English by. They actually managed to find a school for him where there are other Chinese people going. It was some sort of special school. They've got a government grant to run it in. But in high school, that doesn't work. So the guy, this kid, he's like 11 years old or whatever, starts high school and he can't speak a word of English. lived in Australia for like 9 years, can't speak a word of English. Nor do his parents. So it's a bit of a culture shock. And again, he's going to school dressed in the national costume of his peasant homeland or region or district and going with strange food. And of course, because he looks, sounds, acts, eats, dresses differently, he is treated differently because of that. But this is where the morals sort of come in. Oh, those Nazis treated him differently. Why? Why did why they treated him differently? Because they're fucking Nazis. No, that wasn't why they treated him. They treated him differently because he couldn't speak English, was dressing differently, eating differently, sounding differently, behaving differently. That's why they treated him differently, you idiots. But they won't go down that path. Nor do they castigate these people for not learning English. You only know it because of the sequence of events. He started high school and couldn't speak English, but that's somehow presented as, well, the white people did it. It's their fault. It's still their fault. No responsibility needs to be taken by these migrants. They don't have to take the tiniest bit of responsibility for integrating, which includes learning the language and dressing like the locals do and so on. Now, if they want to dress differently in home or have different cuisine in home, okay, fine, who cares? But if they're going to integrate and get on, especially the kid get on, and they can't then say, well, I want to behave completely differently, but if you treat me differently, even though I'm behaving, if you treat me differently, you're a Nazi, fascist, racist. No, you can't have it both ways. If you do everything you can to fit in and so on, you spoke English well, you were dressed like all the other kids were, this sort of stuff, it wouldn't have been an issue. It would not have been an issue. So don't try and make it out it's evil whitey, because it's not. Now, another one is a brown woman, again, a peasant from the rural, the rural areas, illiterate peasant parents, and they come to Australia, and it's the same thing. They don't speak a word of English, make no effort to speak English, didn't bother to try and learn English. Now, they knew for some years they wanted to come to either Australia, America, Canada, only these rich white countries that are supposedly full of Nazis. And yet they make no effort to learn English. I did, as I've mentioned many times, I was in international business for many, many years. And I made a point of wherever I was going that I would take the time and the effort and put the time into at least learning basic conversational language. So I ended up speaking Mandarin quite well. But the point is that I would learn how to say, hello, how are you? Nice. Where is? How do I get to? This is what can I have this for dinner? Or those sorts of things. Now, it's not intense PhD level language, of course, but at least I made that effort and could learn that in a week or so. And sustained effort would give you quite a decent vocabulary. Yet these people made no effort. It was free. It was laid on for them. It was being pushed in their faces, but still they waved it away. But then say, oh, no, these people are treating us differently in Australia. They're Nazi. Why is it so hard? But why do these people treat us differently? It's because you're acting and behaving differently. You can't even speak their language. So this is among the misrepresentations that are used here in these articles. But it's also the depiction that any migrant coming to Australia from it, like some brown or black peasant migrant is coming into a country that's all white. That there is no other brown people or black, but it's 99.999% white, which is it's a horrible lie. If you include the millions of students here from third world countries in India and China studying in Australia, or supposedly studying dishwashing, studying pushing a broom, then white people are actually now a minority in Australia. And so this idea that these people arrive and they're greeted by this wall of just white people, and they go to a school, there's only white people. So that's bullshit. So the lies and misrepresentations and omissions they use, but they won't let go of this, the white people are non-welcoming because they're Nazis. And it's not a helpful. Can you imagine if you're a migrant coming to Australia, all you hear is this constant, incessant talk about how evil white people are? What happens when the brown peasants and everything are in the majority and they're in charge? I mean, the step between being told for years and years and years that these white people are evil, bad, they don't even deserve to exist, and then ordering death sentences, it's not far off. It's not a whole jump to get there. Why do we allow this to happen, for goodness sakes? And it's taxpayer money. The articles that I've seen, at least, are taxpayer funded, for goodness sakes. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.